Where is my lighting? There it is. Hello, everyone. Welcome in. We are here. It is Friday morning, September 20th, and we're just going to talk. We have the NHL franchise mode reveal. I was going to do a video after the fact, but I figured we'd go through it together, talk about it, maybe get your thoughts, and then if you missed this, we could always throw it up on... It'll be on YouTube on demand for everybody to watch. So while we're waiting, let me know how you guys doing on this beautiful morning. If you're new, be sure to like. If you're on Twitch watching, follow the channel. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, leave a like. Really helps everything out here. And let me know what you guys are feeling ahead of the reveal for franchise mode. It's supposed to premiere in about 6 minutes. We will watch it, and we'll go through it, and we'll talk about it for about a half hour or so, and then come back and get your thoughts. So far overall, though, but while we wait, we have a minute. I'm kind of torn on my thoughts on NHL 25 right now. There is a lot in my head that they aren't doing enough. I'm already frustrated as the fact that it's clear that the game's superstar mode is nothing more than the redheaded stepchild of everything. Like, that's just where we stand and where everything looks. It's viewed as, you know, not important anymore. And as a single player mode person and fan, I don't like that. I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy where things stand on that nature. But You know what I mean? That's where we're at. They seem to put a lot of focus on gameplay this year, which good. I'd been told the entire run-up that this was more of a step forward type of game. It's clear that's the case as it's no longer on last-gen consoles. Still not on PC, only on current-gen PS5 and Xbox Series consoles, but a step forward game was what I was told a lot about. And that seems to be what we're getting. They're saying it's a revamped franchise mode. I don't know how much of that being the case. But, we'll see. If that's really what ultimately this becomes. We're about 5 minutes away from the start of the countdown of the premiere of the NHL 25 Dynasty or franchise mode trailer. If you're just tuning in again, thank you so much for this impromptu live stream. Missed a couple follows, M2Kin and Ghost Aaron. Thank you for the follows. I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know what to expect. They did say they revamped and it's a revamp. Like, what their description is before this all comes out is franchise mode gets a revamp in NHL 25, starting with the franchise hub. Streamlined navigation gives players access to new, relevant, and easy to digest information. So, is the hub the only area that's revamped? Though I feel if you're getting a deep dive trailer, you're getting more. You know what I mean? Like, I don't. It seems like they might be. It seems like they might be a case where, I don't know. I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. If it wasn't important, they wouldn't do the video. If they didn't do a lot, it'd be treated like how they... I don't know if they're going to do a deep dive video on presentation. Because on their website, they have a presentation drop down already. And that's just where things are with that. And it all talks about next gen. Speaking of that, some of the updates and the visuals, the Stamkos one they shared online, oof. To me, it doesn't look like him. Does not look like him whatsoever. And I hope that's just like the angle they used or something like that. If it's anything more than that, then I'm going to be frustrated. But we're getting close to the premiere. We will have this when it launches. We'll pop over. So we're just waiting. All we're doing is waiting. That's all we're doing. When it pops on, I'll remove the camera. I'll just go bop, and we can watch it in full. Or actually, I'll just make the camera smaller. I can do that too. Duh. Boom! I can just make it smaller and put it down here, and then we'll go from there. So yeah, while we wait, let me know what your thoughts, what you're hoping to see in the NHL 25 franchise trailer deep dive. I'm not hopeful on a lot of things. I'm not really feeling, the greatest. Now, I will say, if I get my hands on it, big if, and the gameplay is, top level, then of course it's going to be, what we're thinking. Okay, I'm going to take a quick 30-second ad break, and when I come back, the trailer should be ready to go. If you're on Twitch, it's going to, because I don't want you guys to get cut off, it's going to run an ad break, so we'll run 30 seconds and we'll go from there. If you're on YouTube, stick around, because we're gonna take care of that. So, on YouTube side of things, how you doing? Good morning. Let me know your thoughts on where things stand to you with the NHL franchise. Are you still upset that the game isn't coming to PC? I know a lot of people I know are. I know they had been worked they had been working on bringing it to PC. I don't know why the game hasn't been brought over to PC yet. I'm trying to find out. If my guess is it's that they've done tests and the market just isn't there to put the effort and resources into it. That's where I'm going from there. Armand is amazing. Thank you for the follow. Welcome, Armand. Happy to see you. Though, I gotta change something about my alert system because, man, is that loud. And now we're getting ready here. We'll turn this down for now. Don't worry, I will turn down. Good morning, sir. Good morning. So, I don't know. Like, I'm not hopeful. I'm hoping my mind gets changed with this. And then reading through. Usually they have the blog up by now. It's not up just yet, but I expect that to be up any minute. And we'll go from there. Yeah, it's still not up yet. Ratings, they don't have all the ratings up yet. They still only have 299. The top 299 players are there. So, sure, we'll get that deep blog food. It's going well. It's going good. Just a busy day of work, enjoying my Friday. And then I have, a fun weekend planned with the kids. Well, I don't know what we're going to do, but I'm going to try and do something fun with the kids this weekend. Take the two older ones out while we still have in Buffalo like 75, 80 degree weather near the end of September. How are you? How's your day? All right. So 20 seconds. I hate this final thing. We're just about at the time. All right. We're going to go full screen and check this out.
Hey everyone, this is Gern Summel, Senior Game Designer for NHL 25. Today I'm here to talk to you about Franchise Mode. So there's a few new things going into Franchise Mode. Everything from a brand new streamlined hub, box scores, game logs, and split stats, contract clauses and CBA updates, revamped player and coach conversations, and some community requested tuning changes that we did. Over here we have our brand new streamlined hub. It's a unique change from previous years. The goal here was to make less tabbing and surface more information for you as users to be able to get the most information possible to make educated decisions. So you'll see a brand new quick links on the left-hand side here. Everything that's really important is showing up here. So all that stuff that needs to be done on a more regular basis is there at your fingertips. You'll also notice a bunch of new widgets that are on the screen. You'll have the projected goalie widgets. I'll show you the goalies that are about to start for that game, as well as on that right-hand side, a matchup widget showing you how you're matching up against the opponent you're about to play, as well as the conference standings, division standings, your team leaders from forward points, defense points, all the way down to rookie and goalie wins. And then you have your league leader stats as well. And then on top of that, we've added the ticker that's in the trade deadline minigame at the bottom, which will continuously feed you information as you go from screen to screen as well. You're able to access the calendar and then also tab through to go through all the various tabs that you would have had access last year, in addition to a few new tabs that allow you to talk to players and coaches. Going into box scores, we'll bring up all the games that are played in the NHL. So all 1,300 plus games, or if you have a custom league, all however many games you've chosen to do. You can go to any game, not just your own teams. You can go to any game and select a game and view the box score for that game. I can view the events that are from that game, who scored, what penalties were there, as well as the stats for each individual player on both teams, and including the 3 stars as well. So you'll get a really good snapshot of every single game that happens in the NHL. And to feed into that stats motif that we got going on, we also have added new game logs and split stats for each individual.
It really seems so far that it's all just, hey, look, you can find things easier. That's about it.
Full career stats. Now you got game logs and split stats. So if I go into game log, I can look at every single game that he has played in this year, the standard stats that we track from minutes shots, goals, assists, points, the date of the game, and the opponent of the game as well. So you can see how that player is doing against every single team on a per game basis. In addition, you can also see the split stats. So you can see their last 10 games, their home split, their away split, their division split, conference, and on top of that, their monthly and then their per team stats. So how they have done against Florida, how they've done against Edmonton, Chicago, etc. And then lastly, we've also added an awards tab to the player info, and you'll be able to view any award that player has won throughout their entire career. So it's not just the last 5 years. If you have Alex Ovechkin, could be something that he won back in the 2010s. All that shows up on this screen.
I agree. These are things, to me, nice to have. Should have been in there a while. I'm happy they're finally here. Okay, this is a big one, contracts. Let's see.
One of our biggest fan requests is we added no move, no trade clauses to the game. In addition, we also overhauled our contract negotiation system to fit that in. So now you'll notice when you come into the free agency screen, you'll see an org interest bar. Every single player has a contract interest bar and an organization interest bar, and those will now dictate whether or not a player will want to sign with your team. So if a player has a very low organization bar, you may need to convince him to actually join your team. Those two bars now dictate and change who you target in free agency, because it may not be possible for you to get the best free agent because they may not like your organization because of the taxes that you have, the market size that you have, your status as a contender. If they want to be playing on a championship team and you're a rebuilder, they may not want to join your team. Now, you can offer them other incentives. You'll see promises on the bottom right-hand corner and player requests. Certain players will have requests that they would like to have, like playing on the top line power play or playing in the first line. And you'll also be able to give out clauses. So you'll see that you can give out no movement clauses, no trade clauses, modified no trade clauses. You can give out different structures, whether reduced, full. It'll change the number of teams that you can or cannot be traded to. So we've added a lot of depth and a lot of fidelity to the contract negotiation engine that wasn't there before. I'll go into a player that doesn't want to sign with my team currently. Give you an example of what I mean in terms of you have to persuade that player. Now, Sam Bennett here doesn't want to join my team. You're able to do certain actions to potentially win them over. You can charm them. You can gain some organization interest if they take to it. So in this case it did, which is great. Now you can now talk about the contract or go into the organization and kind of pitch them on the organization. So if I go into here, I can now pitch him on the market size and the team status and persuade him into wanting to join my team and forego his expectation of preferring to play in a smaller market like Florida. So in this case, it's very risky to do so. It may negatively affect the organization, which may basically mean I'm out of the running completely. But if I do persuade him and it is successful, I can get him to join my team. So in this case, it's successful. And then if I go into organization, you'll see the bar go up to full. So now I have persuaded him into wanting to potentially join my team, which is huge. So he went from not interested at all to being persuaded into joining my team, and now I can go and offer him a contract. The first offer that you see here, the number of years, will always be what that player wants. You can go through and select different years. They may or may not accept a 1-year deal, so if you do select 1 year or 2 years, they may say, I'm not interested in that, and just end the conversation there. But if you go into the 4 years, they will let you go in and start negotiating. So negotiate will try to make a more team-friendly deal. So the higher your organization bar, the more
So we're looking, Twitch is going to do a mandatory ad break for some reason, even though I ran one. I got to figure that out in about 30 seconds. I will pause the stream when it gets to that point, and we will continue this. We will continue going through when it wraps up.
Likely you can negotiate a player down in salary. You can also improve the offer if you like. This allows you to add extra money, clauses, promises to your contract offer. So if I want to increase the salary here, I can increase it up by a lot or a little. So I'll add $2 million to a salary. But I can also improve the offer further by adding in a clause. So I can give him a full move, no trade, whatever it may be. I'm going to give him a full no move clause, as well as I'll promise him first line minutes. So he will more than likely now want to sign because I have given him the world. You can also table the contract as well. So if you think you've negotiated a deal with the player to the sense, but you want to try out and sign another player just in case, you can table the deal. There's a risk to this, obviously. If another team steps in and offers a contract to them, they may get taken and may sign with another team. So it's kind of a risk reward on your aspect of it too, whether or not you're willing to take that chance. So in this case, Sam Bennett accepts the offer because it was so good. I gave him a full no move. I gave him $2 million more, and I also gave him a first line promise. So he's now on my team. So I can.
So we're gonna pause it here while it's running an ad. I do agree, Armand. This is something that should have been in a while ago. I'm happy it's here now. I'm really happy that it's finally here.
Literally convinced him from not wanting to join my team to joining my team through the power of the conversation engine. So next up, with the addition of no move and no trade clauses, obviously when you want to go and trade a player that has a trade clause, you're going to need to figure out what team they can or cannot be traded to. So if we go into Aaron Ekblad here, you'll see he has a...
All right, there's currently an ad break running for about another 40 seconds. So for those of you on YouTube, let's talk real quick. And we'll get into more of this in a second. We're going to go through this after watching this. We're going to go back through it and talk about it. But the idea of most of it being a hub, I love how clean it looks. That makes me very happy. A lot of it is stuff that I think should have been in the past. 100% should have been in already. Where we're looking at is, I don't know, it's a weird situation where what else can you really add, I guess, to the franchise mode? We're going to see what they talk about. There's one thing I'm looking for that I'm hoping. So now that we're back on the Twitch side of things, we'll continue to run through this, but there's one thing I'm really hoping to hear that I haven't heard yet. And if I don't hear it, or if I do hear it, I'll bring it up.
Modified no trade clause, and you can go into the new contract info screen that shows you the trade clause, the years that are left on the trade clause, and the teams that you can trade that player to. So on the right hand side, there's a tradable team list. He can be traded to 20 teams, and there's 12 teams that he has a no trade for. So if I go to Anaheim or Boston or Buffalo, he is an eligible player for me to actually put on the trade block. If I put him on a team that he doesn't have a trade clause for, I would need to actually convince Ekblad to waive his no trade clause. So you can go into the proposed trade screen, select the player that you want to trade, and it'll automatically have you initiate a conversation with them. You'll see that I'll have to persuade the player into waiving their no trade clause. If failed, which means I can no longer have Ekblad be eligible to be traded to the Carolina Hurricanes. The other way to get them to talk about their clauses or their options is to actually go in through the new franchise hub. So if I went into Matthew Tkachuk here, I have different options to have him potentially waive his clause or change his clause for the year. I'm able to get him to maybe give me a list of 1 team, 2 teams, 3 teams, or outright waive his no trade clause. So I'm going to ask him maybe give me 1 team that he would want to potentially go for. In this case, he actually did. So now I can go into Matthew Tkachuk's player card and figure out who he actually wants to be traded to. Now you can see that he has a modified no trade clause. But going to his contract info, he wants to go to the Montreal Canadiens. So I can now add him to the block for the Montreal Canadiens, and then you'll be able to make a trade. The conversation engine allows you to kind of have a little bit of flexibility and how much you want that player to waive, whether it be fully waive their clause or to kind of select a certain amount of teams. It allows you to pick a riskier or a less riskier option to give the player still some agency as well. Another new feature that we've added is our brand new conversation engine. You've seen a little bit of it in the no move, no trade, but we wanted to make every conversation feel important and have a meaningful impact on your team. So gone are the ice time conversations where players are complaining about things. It's now more of a proactive system where you are now assigning players goals or trying to make that player better or try to fit into your system as you need to. If I go into Korchinski here, you'll notice that there's 2 options for me to select from: season goal or on ice play. Each of these has their own subset of items that you'll be able to select through. For season goals, this actually influences player development, something that in the past you as a user didn't really have a lot of influence over. Now you will with season goals. So you can select a season goal. You'll have 2 options of short-term goals. So these are half-season goals. They're shorter goals and they give you less of a reward potentially. And then we have long-term goals, which allow you to perform a stat challenge, an award challenge.
See, nothing of this. Like, okay, these are nice to haves. None of this is like game. This right here, the conversation system, isn't a game-changing type of thing. Like I don't know. The conversation stuff are always weird because they get very repetitive very quick because you can only do so much. You know what I mean?
And they will gain potential ratings impact onto themselves based off of completing that goal. Now, it isn't that it's a hard line, so as long as I'm close, he'll get some of that reward to passing, but he may not get the full amount. So it is really forgiving in that sense, but you do want to get as close as you possibly can to that marker to help influence that player. So in this case, I'll set a goal to have him score 40 assists, and then once that's in there, you'll be able to check out the goal in the morale screen as you sim through a season and you can look at their stats and see how they're doing. Now that I've assigned a player goal to that player, I can also go into the on-ice play and potentially have them change their play style or their position. You'll notice on the upper right-hand side of the screen that you have something called adaptability. Every player has adaptability rating. This adaptability rating allows us to control how likely a player will potentially adhere to being able to change to a new playing style or a position that they play. The younger the player,
yeah, that's a good way to put it. Like, I like how you put it, like redesigning a bedroom and tuning up. Yeah, that seems like that's what they're doing. It's a fine-tune type of thing. And it really feels like when I was told like it was going to be a step forward type of year, not like a major overhaul type of year, this is kind of on par with that.
Be either straight up, change them out of left defense. I can move them to right defense as well. These are both persuades and they have different factors that weigh in. So in this case, I want to add a secondary position. To lower his defensive awareness rating, the harder it will be to convince him. If I want to change his position, players with a higher defensive awareness rating will be harder to convince. So players that are really good at defense, they probably don't want to move out from defense. But if the player has a lower defensive awareness, you may be able to get them to change to a forward. Here I'll ask Korchinski to change his position. So in this case, that persuade failed. In many cases, the persuade may or may not work, but you do have the ability to change a player's position and play style. It all has a multitude of different factors that go into it. Again, we really wanted to give you as the user the ability to have more fidelity, more control over the players to fit within the system that you're trying to build. So in addition, you can also talk to your head coach. You can talk about your preseason or your game plan for the team. And these essentially are buffs to your team that you get for the season, whether it be conditioning, strength training, skill training, 5-on-5 focus, power play, penalty kill, video sessions. So all of these will have different buffs and debuffs. I've selected power play. This will give my team a buff for the power play, but also have a debuff on my penalty kill. So in this case, I got him to adhere to that preseason focus. I can go back in and talk to him also about the game plan that he has. So we can talk about preferred lines. He is locked until the regular season, and I'll get into that as well. Ice time allocation is also locked until the regular season, but this will allow you to allocate whether or not you want your team to roll 4 lines, 3 lines, top heavy. It allows you to kind of manipulate that and have the best possible situation for your team. So now that we're here in the regular season, I'm now able to chat with my coach.
I feel like they went way too long on the conversation stuff. Like, it wasn't that deep to where you need it. Sure, you can ask your player to change position. Like, you didn't need, like, that could have just been like, hey, check this out type of thing. You know what I mean?
Preferred lines or ice time allocation. As that's no longer locked, I can get them to potentially change those things. So in this case, I want him to reorganize or lock players into certain lines. I can now do so. I've persuaded them into being open to it. If in the instance where it fails, you can still force the coach to go through this flow. You will lose morale as a trade-off, but at the end of the day, you are the GM and you hire the coach, so you are able to brute force your way through it. So in this case, I want to look at my forwards and I want to have my line 2 center be Elias Pettersson. So if I go into line 2 and center, I can now lock in Elias Pettersson as the center for that line. Now I can also make his left wing. In this instance, I'll just put Jake DeBrusk. And then if I go into that line screen again, you'll notice that when I hit best lines now,
I like how it just says position. Like,
slot.
okay,
now see
that helps.
Elias Pettersson and Jake DeBrusk in that role. So if I move Pettersson down to the fourth line here and then I re-hit best lines, it will always lock them into that line. So if he gets hurt and comes back into the lineup, it will remember that and put him back into the right spot. So you can lock all your lines exactly how you want it and really help the usability for playing with injuries on. So you're able to have your lines always constructed in the way that you want them, and the coach will make sure that they do best lines in that manner. It is quite a cumbersome thing. So this was our way with the power of the conversation engine to allow you to actually lock in players into those lines. Another feature that we added to really help the roster sharing community was the addition of draft picks to the player movement screen. Now you're able to trade 5 years worth of draft picks in the player movement screen to keep up with the real world as you're
pretty sure you were always able to trade draft picks.
So in this
like
case,
just moving them around doesn't help. I
want
want three-way
first round
trades.
pick to the Buffalo Sabres, and then you'll be able to go in and see that Buffalo has Anaheim and Edmonton's first round pick, and you're able to upload this roster file to roster sharing, and then you'll be able to have others download it with the correct draft picks.
Oh, this is just for player movement. Okay, this isn't in Giant franchise, so that's on me. That's on me. That's my mistake.
To make the adjustment yourself, and then go into franchise mode and start your franchise mode if you need to. That's a big change there, as well as we've added a few more elite potential prospects into the draft. Make the league as you get later into later years, refresh that player pool, have the overalls be around the same amount as well. So we added a lot to franchise mode this year. We had a lot of fun working on the game, and we can't wait for you to pick up early access on September 27th.
Okay. So we're gonna refresh. So there's a 20-minute video. That is, yeah, that was roster sharing. Good. I still, do they have the blog up yet? They don't have the franchise mode blog up yet, I don't see. Oh, here we go. Nope, they just have the video. They don't have a blog on it yet. Oh, there we go. So, certain things. Let's talk about this real quick. So, the NHL. So, NHL 25 had their franchise mode reveal today on Friday. Overall, it was just conversation, updates, and a hub. Nothing, it was definitely a tweaking type of year, not a major new feature type of year. A couple new things I really like is the addition of no movement clauses and having to have that conversation with no movement clauses. Those things in and of itself make me really happy to see. Because it just adds that realism. I am kind of frustrated. There was nothing on the trade logic or things like that, like salary retention, multiple team trades, and more information on that. I don't like. It feels like there's still some things missing that are very basic and should have been in. The conversation stuff to me, it just, like, I love how it just says position, position, position. It should say the player here rather than you have to view who the player is in the sentence. Position, position, position. I would have liked to see more in the case of transactions. Are there any changes to scouting? Like, they showcased, like, the elite potential prospects. They're going to have more of that this year. But I wanted to see more in how scouting can work. I want more risk on that front. And they didn't really give that, if that makes sense. They didn't give much of that at all, if we're being completely honest. I don't know. I was going in not getting my hopes up, and I'm glad I didn't, because albeit the hub, everything being, let's just go back to the video. Everything being in this central location is really nice. Over here on the side, and so this over here on the side is nice, like very quick. All these stats, this type of stuff, I'm a nerd for. Quick view, like, all right, I'm going up against, Ottawa. How bad are they on defense? How many goals are they giving up? That type of stuff, I really, really like. I really, really like that. Being able to view the standings quickly. My thing is, though, and you don't know until you get your hands on it, is how fast is it going to move? Because one of the things EA has had issues with over the years, as they add so much into it, is they've had issues with the speed and just user-friendliness of their hubs, interfaces, and menus. Things just go a little bit too slow, and that's kind of something that needs to hopefully be fixed, and hopefully it is fixed. Similar logos, the 3D logos they've been using for years and things like that. The events, viewing all the scheduling, that's cool. Like, those are like some nice quality of life improvements. The game log, the splits, this is awesome. I look at this stuff all the time on Pro Hockey Reference. All the time. So that type of stuff I'm really excited about. I'm really stoked to utilize that more. And just view. Because like I said, it goes into my decisions, because I take, when I'm playing franchise mode, that type of stuff will go into it. The trophy stuff, quality of life is what it is. I want with the stats, they have the full career stats, they have game logs, so I'm happy they have the historical career stats. Though I hope with career stats, unless they show, okay, they do show it. It shows year by year and not just totals. I do like that. Because for some reason, EA has had a history of messing with and not having full, better career stat tracking in their franchise modes. So that's good to see. The interest system, we'll see how it works. Again, these conversations, I'm worried about getting too repetitive. Like, I don't need I just don't want it to get too repetitive or to be sound so fake that it's like they would never say this. No player would say this. No player would act like this or what have you. Like, I'm really, I want to know what's going to happen with that. Moving on. The negotiations, giving them a no movement, and the promises and the requests. Again, I want to see salary retention and things of that nature. That's what I would like to see. And then, free agents, getting them to negotiate. The tabling of the offers, I think, is pretty cool. I don't know how often it's going to be utilized, but it's again, another thing that's nice to see, and I'm happy it's there. I'd rather have it there than not, if that makes sense. What else do we have? Yeah, the conversations. I don't know. It's just more reading, more menus. Though I guess it's better than, NBA 2K touting, hey, you can walk around as a GM throughout your building and put a walking simulator. I guess it's better than that, right? Because you're talking to these players and things like that and getting the idea of what your players want. I didn't hear them mention, like, say, family. They talked about the market and stuff like that. They did talk about taxes, so I'm really interested in the negotiation because that's a big topic now in real NHL world. In contracts, team players not wanting to go to Canada because of taxes, not wanting to play in New York because of taxes, wanting to go to Florida, Texas, Tennessee, and play in those markets, in Nashville, in Dallas, in Florida, Tampa, rather than even go to LA and Anaheim and things like that because of taxes. So I'm interested to see if those they mention that being a reason why they wouldn't be interested in your organization. I'm interested if that actually comes up in the conversations. That's something I would like to see. But we'll have to wait and see if we get our hands on it. Again, they say we'll see you in early access on November 27th or September 27th. That's not early access. You're charging $100 to play the game at launch. When you put it a week early, 1 to 2 days. Oh, you're letting you play early if you pay a little more. You get a couple days early. Cool, that's fine. But a whole week, that's just you push the release date back by a week for the people who spend the standard price. That's what that is. The talk of when it comes to no trades, trying to have the conversations, I like that. You know, start the conversation. Talk to me about the no trade clause. We'd like to waive it. And then, you know, use my trade limit if you must, but I'd like to lead a team to victory. They won't waive the trade clause, so you're stuck with who they list. I don't know if it's a case of you have to go in and ask. Does it go to where you have your trade clause? So there's the tradable team list right here. You can go to any of those. Is that just updated, or do you have to go to ask, hey, we need your list? I'm assuming it's just going to be there at all times. Will it change? That'll be interesting. I want to know if it changes year to year or month to month. Say the Red Wings are here, the Flames are here, but they're doing absolutely terrible. Ekblad's at a point he wants to win. The Flames and Red Wings are doing absolutely god-awful stuff. Will he go, yeah, never mind, I don't want to go there. I'm good. And then remove him from the list. That's what I'm interested in finding out. That's what I'm interested in knowing here. Excuse me. Then you have talking with the coaches. I like being able to go over your coach's head because I'm a jerk. So I like going over your coach's head for lines. Where was that? Right here. Just going over the lines and the goals with your coaches. Because, again, you can get fired as a GM if you're not doing your job. You're not doing your job. So there's some things I like. A lot of these are, to me, they're nice to haves or quality of life. But I don't know if it's going to be the game changer or really sell people. It feels the focus went into gameplay this year. And these were things that they've been working on and they were able to get them in. But it doesn't feel like NHL 25 is really going to be that holy crap game like that you need to play in the franchise. I feel like maybe next year, now that this is the first year, it's not on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One since those consoles came out. I feel like it is finally at a point where they're going to start focusing on the current gen. For a few years, halfway through the current gen, and in 2027, 2028, when the new consoles come out, we'll be right back to square one, because instead of leaving last gen behind after a year, they, stick with it with this way. So that's my thoughts. I don't know. It's not a selling point. I still think X Factors need to go away. I hate X Factors. I hate them. But there's not... It's, again, a lot of quality of life, nice to haves. The roster movement, the roster management, throwing draft picks to other teams to make sure those are accurate if something happens, and then sharing it, that's cool to see. I was confused when they were first announcing it. The central scouting, I do want to see more in scouting. I don't know what, though. That's what I want to think about. I want to think about how that'll work, how I want to see more in scouting. But that's where I'm at. Thank you for tuning in. I'm going to wrap it up here. Go continue my day. I might be on tonight for some streaming, maybe play some Deadlock or Madden, or we'll talk and more. If not, I will see you guys early next week for the Mike Strauss show, if we reschedule that instead of having it Tuesday night, because I will be at a concert. Until then, please leave a like on this video. Please share it. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. If you're on Twitch, please follow. I appreciate it. It helps me continue to grow as a semi-independent creator and journalist. Until next time, I love you all. Take care of one another. Be kind to one another. I'm out.